Yeah.
Hi, everybody. We're live here. It's a Friday night, 7:30, and we're quickly going to wrap the first stage or the first session of the Pryder Cup. It was some exciting stuff on Twitter, I could tell you. The other four balls, or six of them, should I call them, are actually on the course as we speak, and we'll also go onto Twitter for an update on the scoring there. It's been pretty exciting stuff. I'd have to say that probably called it correctly in terms of the betting on that at this stage, and I'll just bring the leaderboard up here quickly before we introduce the panelists. We got Europe on 6.5 points. Bear in mind, it's 2 points for a win, 1 for second. We got the internationals on 3 and the USA on 2.5. But let me start by bringing in USA captain Gary Lentin. Gary, you got off to a slow start, but let me tell you, Woods and Spieth, I think it was, were leading. Woods and Thomas, were leading the second last pairing. And the last pairing, you had Nicklaus and Palmer, who looked to be cruising to victory. And then Neil Andrews managed to rally his European troops. They got a half out of the Woods game and managed to beat Nicklaus and Palmer. But what a finish. It could have been so different for you. But overall, happy where you stand?
Well, a lot of Ryder Cups and a lot of President's Cups have been won by American sides coming from behind. But
hello.
Good evening. How are you? I'm happy Neil's there because I have two very important things that I'd like to bring up before we start to be too critical of the American side. And that is, we were visited before the tee-off today by both the presidents. And we found it very difficult. We didn't feel great after we injected ourselves with some detergent before we teed off. And then we found, after your president helped us, we found putting and reading the line very difficult, right? And it's not going to be easy. But after we sorted all that out, we expect to be a lot better tomorrow, you know? We won many tournaments from this far behind.
And you've got a bit of support on Twitter there, I must tell you, Gary. I know you're not on Twitter, but a couple of the guys have taken to it. Now, I think this evening session is going to be a lot busier in terms of the voting as well. I think a lot of people relaxing on a Friday afternoon weren't ready for the start of this thing. But just early indications are we're going to get quite a bit. And there's a couple of guys canvassing for the US of A. But I've got to give credit to Neil Andrews, the captain of Europe, because literally, Neil, with about 60 seconds to go in 2 of your matches, you came on with a final call to action. And Europe got the votes they needed to get a half in the Tiger Woods match. And then Mollywood coming back to beat Nicklaus and Palmer. It was superb captaincy on your part.
Astonishing.
I wonder how. Carry on, Neil. I'll tell them a story just now what you did once, but carry on.
No, because I didn't know how close it was. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, I just put out a couple of posts and we got up. I mean, I wasn't watching because the live television was down, but I believe I won the 17th and the 18th.
You did, and I must tell you, it's quite weird when you're watching on Twitter. It tells you when the poll's ending. So it actually said their poll ending, and at that stage you were still losing. And I thought, well, this is it. Nicklaus and Palmer have got up. But by the time the thing finished, which was about 15 seconds, you had the necessary votes to get up there, and Molinari and that did you proud. We're going to pop onto the leaderboard of the current games that are out there at the end. I can tell you your boys are going to have to come from behind the game because I've already seen how things are going there. But Gary, let's bring Barney in first before we get a story.
Can I just say something quickly? I'm just going to, sorry, Barnes, I have to nip off because the 3-month-old is crying. He's got a problem with his finger because he was forced to be doing this all this evening for the 3-month, very late on in the Ryder Cup. Yeah. So I'm just going to stop. It's all fingers.
We'll see you now, Neil. Yeah. And Barney, let me bring you in. I mean, Barney, you got off to a cracking start. You sent they were your bankers. You sent Grace and Verstazen out there. I can tell you they were the easiest winners on the day. I think they got something like 64, 65% of the votes. You were never in doubt for that point. I think maybe what let you down a bit was some of your older players perhaps struggled to get going.
I just want people out there to recognize Bobby Locke was such a great player, one of the pioneer of South African golf. You've got to support him a bit better than they have been. I mean, Greg Norman, Adam Scott, I thought great side. I need more support for the Australians, if possible, please, guys. They are in our team, the Aussies. This is one sport we play together with Australia, and that's golf. South Africa and Australia on the same team here. Let's support our Aussies. But going back, I did tell you that Grace and Louis are unbeatable in President's Cup, and they love beating Americans. It happens every year. And I was criticized by someone on Twitter, I think Mr. Alberts, who said to me, how can I pick Grace? He's the first name in my team. He's Brandon Grace. He's a tiger under the gun. He loves playing match play golf. So one of my first guys. But I've got some surprises for you for tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get into that now. But Gary, do you have anything you wanted to tell a quick story about Neil? I know we can't go more than 20 minutes tonight.
About 15 years ago, it was a Wednesday night or something, and I took a PA for Neil and I made a mistake. And it was an overseas pool, and I spent about 11,000 Rand instead of about 110 Rand. And I told Neil, matey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And he phoned Shaheen Shaw, who was in the studio. There was 2 minutes to go. And he said, Shaheen, you need to get this pool up to 60,000. It was 11,200 at the time. And Shaheen got there, mateys, this is the pool. And I promise you now, the pool shot up to about 115,000. Not that made any difference to us. We missed it. But I mean, when it comes to canvassing for late votes, it's hard to beat Neil.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, Neil, you've come upon a tactic there as well. To go on sort of 15 minutes before the end with a bit of a call to action is definitely going to help the European side.
Well, to be honest with you, I spoke to the guys earlier on in the changing room. And as I mentioned to you guys, they've had a bit too much champagne. And I've said, they're guilty at celebrating early. It's only session 1. But I had a harsh talking to them because I said to them that apart from the last couple of holes where I had to drive out and really get them into shape, they had underperformed. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my first team I sent out. I acknowledged what Barney's saying about his 2-ball, his twosome, but I thought my boys underachieved. So the final points tally, it's okay, but they didn't play well. They didn't play their best.
So you're hoping for more. Yes, Bob.
I was very proud. Of Nicky Price and Gary Player today. I mean, they fought to the bitter end against a great team and nearly won that game.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled level, really. It all came down to the 18th, that game, and in the end, Poulter and Sevi got up. But at one stage, the momentum was firmly with the internationals there, and I thought they were going to take it. But let's get on to tomorrow's pairings, and then what we'll do is we'll quickly pop onto Twitter and get an update on the leaderboard and see how the current 4 balls are going, that or three sixums we call them, are going out there. Now, we finished off yesterday. Barney was he chose the last yesterday, so we now move to Europe to choose for the morning session, Neil. So give us your first pairing there.
I'm going to go for the 2 Spaniards. I did say to everybody yesterday, didn't I? I said, and you all nodded. That's why I knew that, the one, the only Severiano Ballesteros had everything. And I'm going to team him up perfectly today with what I actually said to the same guy who was having a conversation with Barney earlier today, because he questioned why I went for John Rahm and not a Lathabal. And I said, well, because later on in the tournament, I'm going to put the 2 Spaniards together. Sevi has everything, but, the length comes from and the power comes from John Rahm. So I'm sending out my 2 Spaniards, and hopefully there are going to be a Spaniard in the works. John Rahm and the one and only Ballesteros.
Excellent. I must tell you, my form, this will give you an indication. You told me 2 Spaniards, and the first name I wrote down was Garcia. So I even got that wrong. But that's a lovely combo. I mean, Rahm certainly is doing you proud. And I was very impressed with your Twitter this morning. By the time you got queried on your selection, and at the end of the day, everyone was nodding and saying we're 100% in agreement with you. And Rahm's done you proud so far. Let's move on to Gary for his selection in the first match.
I'm going to go with Davis Love. And
Love's not in the team anymore, remember?
That's very funny.
Okay, that was a good idea.
For the past 48 hours. Okay. I'm going to go
Lenny Watkins did you proud. I think they got 8% of the votes.
Good. I'm going to go back with Lenny Watkins. I'm going Lenny Watkins and Patrick Reed.
And Reed. Okay.
2 nuggety guys. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to be there and fight all the way.
Excellent. Watkins and Reed, and let's have the international team, Bonds.
Well, good luck to you boys, because I'm putting out for the first time ever our 2 greatest of all time, Ernest Theodore Else and Gary Player.
Oh, that's a good combination, that. Yeah, fair enough. I was able to write that down before I heard it.
Can't lose. Good luck. Poor Lenny Watkins.
Poor Lenny Watkins. Right. Let's move on to the second game. Gary, you to go first on this one.
I'm going to go with Davis Love, and I'm going to go Nicholas and Palmer. Yeah. I don't think that they only got a half, and they came in late and everything, and they went 18 holes. But I think they're good night's rest and everything. I think they can bounce back, and I'm going Nicholas and Palmer. I'm going to send out my big guns in games 2 and 3 tonight, for sure.
Okay.
Nicholas, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Barney, who you putting up against the Golden Bear?
I've got two wonderful sons of the African soil here, Brent. Don't forget about Nicky Price and Bobby Locke.
Price and Bobby Locke.
Now, please, South Africa, we've got to support these guys.
It's hard to
I think we'll have to get. You know what I think you got to do, Barney? You got to get someone like KP on your side on this one, eh?
Well,
even though he's English, you argue.
If KP puts out one tweet, this whole tournament's over. So I wouldn't. That's not fair.
Well, let him choose. Let him choose what he thinks is true. Can't go.
No, I'm just saying, you'll only support my team, and if he does that, it's not fair.
It's fair enough. I've got a guy who actually bet with me. I've laid him 4-1 the USA, but he says he's still each game that he puts he votes on, he still votes where he thinks the game is going to go. He doesn't vote USA just because he's got money on it, which I think is fair enough. In fact, I've made him a bit of an on-course captain for you, Gary, because he's canvassing quite a lot of support for the USA at the moment. He's not going to go against anything that, he's going to vote what he thinks is going to happen, but he's happy to use Twitter to try and get as much support for the USA as possible. And Neil, let's see what Europe are going to throw at this one.
I've got a nice team. It's a very strong team. I have to say I'm very confident about victory in this one. The postman's going out, Ian Poulter, and for length, for power, Rory.
Oh, that's a good combo, eh?
Rory McIlroy, Ian Poulter.
Okay.
I hope one day somebody takes this and makes a real video of this. Or even not a video, a computer program, right? And puts all this data in there. Because the fact is, imagine this really transpired. These games, it's actually hard to separate these games. I'll be perfectly honest with you. You look at them and think, anybody can win this. Any one of the three could win this game. And it's the same with all the games. This would be one of the most competitive sporting events ever,
I just have heard news from the course is that Patrick Reed has just thrown his club in the water after hearing that he's been paired with Lanny Watkins tomorrow. I don't know if there's any truth to that one. Right, so we got those first two sorted out. So it was announced Barney to go first. Barney?
Well, I'm going to put out a team I haven't put out yet, but they know each other very well. They have won between them, I would say they won 4 majors. And I got Vijay Singh and Adam Scott. What a team.
Singh and Scott. I mean, Scott and Norman at one stage made quite a run as well. I think you're going to do better now because I think the Australians were all asleep when the first game was best. Going to bed. Hopefully they're getting up in the morning now. I'll have to tag a few of our Australian rugby guys as well. So we've got Singh and Scott there. And moving across to Europe's response to that, Neil?
This was tough for me because... I don't know what Gary's going to do, but I had a long chat to Francesco after the round today, and he said, and I don't speak Italian. So I then spoke to Tommy, and he said that they were very happy with the way they got up, and that as I say, I had to give them a real rollicking. I think they were resting on their laurels for 16 holes there, but. They've begged for another chance. So, they're good guys. I'll give them another go. Out go Mollywood.
Mollywood going out there against Singh and Scott. And who are the USA going to throw out to counter that?
Sorry, but I'm sure Ernie else has bought me a whiskey here. Ernie, thank you. Thanks.
Barney.
That's impressive because Ernie's meant to be on the 4th hole at the moment. That's impressive.
Barney's brother.
Finishing what was left.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary, who are you going for here?
I'm confident with my group before with Nicholas and Palm, although I am worried about Neil's team there. But I think I'll get a point there. I'm definitely going to follow up here. This is one that I'm absolutely certain with. I call them Team Woolworths. I've been waiting to let them loose on the links. Watson and Woods.
Watson and Woods.
Woods, the W's. Woolworths.
Good team.
Okay, we got that. So that was Barney. So Neil, the last 4-ball. This is the morning session tomorrow, and then we'll go on to the afternoon. What is your 4-ball for the morning session? The last one.
I've gone for Lee Westwood because Lee's just got an unbelievable record Ryder Cup, particularly in the team format. So Lee Westwood gets the nod. And I've actually put him up with another English Rose, being just that, Justin Rose. So Rose and Westwood, the two Englishmen, to do us proud.
And we'll pop onto the course and see, because they're actually playing together at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see how they do. And I think they made quite a positive start from what I saw. And I'm writing it in the wrong section. Yeah, Westwood and Rose. Gary, over to you.
Two guys from the same era. I think they'll complement each other exceptionally well here. I think they could get under the skin of both the teams there. I'm going to go with Mickelson and Furyk.
I like that as a combination, Mickelson and Furyk. As you say, same era.
Boring.
Boring.
For a boring point there.
Boring point. And Barney?
Let me tell you, Brent, who I'm putting against all these heroes, the unbeatables, and they go again. Brandon Grace and Louis Oosthuizen.
Oh, yeah, you can't drop them.
Not a chance. Good luck.
Okay, so we've got Grace and Oosthuizen going out there. Right, let's move into the afternoon sessions. We'll pick that because there's no real time to pick it in between. So who did we start with there? I think it was Neil that we started with there. Oh, it was with...
Me to go.
Okay, who's to go? Gary.
Me to go.
Yeah.
He's at a decent place. I'm definitely sending out Trevino, and I'm going to send Trevino out with Arnold Palmer. No rest for the wicket there.
Trevino with Arnold Palmer, and on to Bonds.
I'm going to put Bobby Locke with Gary Player. The dream team, guys. Can't get better than Bobby Locke and Gary Player.
We've got to get the country behind them on this one, Barney.
Hey?
We've got to get the Twitter country behind them on this one tomorrow.
What were the Yanks doing there? What was Gary's Americans doing?
Trevino and Palmer.
Okay. I'm sending out Sergio Garcia and Henrik Stenson.
Garcia and Stenson. Okay. Then Barney, you go first now. Who are you sending out in the second game tomorrow afternoon or evening, should we say?
The unbeatables, Oosthuizen and Grace.
Christy and Grace. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be dropping them. Well, they'll be playing in all four matches. Neil, who are you sending out against Oosthuizen and Grace? You're going to sacrifice anyone here?
Yes, two sacrificial lambs. Don't think we can beat the South Africans, to be fair, in their own neck of the woods. So, but having said that, sending out a repeat of the 1966 World Cup and indeed a couple of World Wars, but they are on the same side this time. Nick Faldo and Bernard Langer.
Oh, Langer making his debut. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No boring comments there, Bonnie. No boring comments. I mean, Faldo and Langer. I mean, that's going to be the most boring combination ever.
Furyk are boring. Those two are pedestrian.
I mean, even if Faldo brings Fanny with and she walks around without any clothes, I wouldn't go watch that game.
I think she's with VJ anyway. Gary, who are you taking them on with?
I don't know why I haven't played. I'll go with. I'm going to go with the tried and tested. I'm going to go with Watkins and Couples.
Watkins and Couples. Okay. Right, and then on to Neil for the first pick in the third game.
I'm going to mix it up a bit here because I'm thinking that, Tommy and Francesco have seen a lot of each other and I don't want to damage them in the singles for the final day. So I'm taking Tommy Fleetwood out and I'm pairing him up with keeping with the English theme. Yesterday, well, in the earlier one, of course, it was Westwood and Rose. So it's now going to be Westwood and Fleetwood.
Would you believe it? Would you believe it?
Yes, would you believe it? Yeah.
Westwood and Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Gary, who are you sending out at this stage? We're getting close to the singles. Points are going to be crucial.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Woods and Nicholas.
Woods and Nicholas. They all. Am I right in saying they also, I think, on the course at the moment? So we'll go and have a quick look at how they're doing as well. Woods and Nicholas, and then Barney, your pick here.
Well, I'm going to go with the Grand Old team. They go both blondies, blonde hair. One's quite older than the other, but they get on very well. Two great players, Ernie Els and Greg Norman.
Els and Norman, I like that combo as well. And
I've got Devin Cohen. I've got Devin Cohen sending me messages that I should put Els with Scott, but I've replaced Scott with Norman here.
Devin Cohen's a small. I think Devin Cohen might have got a point that you're not going to get now, Barney.
And I think it's Barney, you to go first in the last one, Barnes. Yeah.
The last one is one of my favorites. It's Adam Scott and Nicky Price, two of the great gentlemen of golf. We got to back them, South Africa. We got to back them, Australia. We got to back them, Zimbabwe. Let's get involved.
Right, we got that. And Neil?
Oh, tough choice because I've got three big names in my locker room, but because I've gone for Lee in the third match, it leaves me. I've got to leave either Rory, Poulter, or Rahm out. So I'm going to leave the big Spaniard because I'm pretty sure he's going to win in the singles. So I'm happy for that. So I'm going to go for Poulter and McIlroy. Poulter and McIlroy, yeah.
Poulter and Rory McIlroy and Gary to finish us off there.
It's a good start. I'm going to do this, but I just want to clear one thing up. We're talking about Spieth at his best. We're talking about Spieth 2010, not Spieth 2020. I think that
at his best. At his best.
Rough chop on this because people only remember what he's like now. Whereas they seem to forget that with Brandon Grace and Louis Oosthuizen, and they seem to remember the time when they dominated world golf. I know they can't because they never have. But that's okay because they both live near the course and it's important, right? I'm going to go two guys that I think great. Again, let's go Spieth and Justin Thomas.
Spieth and Justin Thomas.
No chance. No chance.
Barney writing off their shots. Okay, guys, quickly before we knock off, I'm just quickly popping onto Twitter. I was going to share the screen, but it'll probably take a bit of a while. So let me just popping on my phone. I'm going to give you a quick update in terms of percentages, how we're doing in the second session on Friday. So match number 5, we got Spieth and Reed at the moment leading with 68%. Norman and Thompson at 21%, and Rose and Westwood struggling at just 11%. Neil, you're going to have to get onto Twitter later. There's no doubt about that. You've got to lift those boys. So Spieth and Reed looking very good there for the US. Then if we have a look at the match number 6, we've got, this is quite a tight one. We've got Garcia and Stenson leading with 43%. Singh and Player are second with 36%. So that's at this stage just a vote or two in it. And Trevino and Palmer are not out of it at 21%. They're not too far back, the US there. Then we've got match number 7. Looking at this one is tight. We've got a dead heat at the moment between Poulter and Rahm for Europe. And we got Charles and Els, Bob Charles and Ernie Els, both on 38%. And not far off them is Mickelson and Couples. So if your boys get going on Twitter, the likes of Couch Critic, and get the boys going there, Gary, you guys are still in that one. So really tight. That's going to be a crucial match. And the final one of the day, this is an interesting one because Molinari and Fleetwood are only on 15% of the early votes. We've got Grace and Oosthuizen on 38%, and leading the way, the USA, Nicklaus and Woods on 46%. So plenty to play for. I mean, all of these, they're only on about between the 3rd and the 6th hole at this stage. Plenty to go. But Gary, you're looking a lot better in the nighttime session.
Jesus, what's that? How did Lauren put out there? I don't know. The prawn that like it came from the sea. Jeez. I've been sabotaged by laugh. I'm not joking. What was that? Lot of the sardine.
Yeah, Gary looks a bit like Walter Hagen. Looks a bit like Walter Hagen with a beard.
I look like, I told you what, I look like Orson Welles. That's okay. So, no, this is still going to, if I can come into the singles within 3 points of both sides, I'll fancy my chances. It's going to be hard. The Europeans are a good side, but I'm not sure that Neil's put together the best combinations today. I think we've got an outside chance. If I can rally my troops on Twitter, which is exactly 0 because I'm not on Twitter, I'd have a chance, Neil, haven't you got another son who's got nothing to do tonight? I'll stick honey on his keyboard.
Don't worry, I can tell you the guy I've laid the blooming 4-1. He's rallying everyone on Twitter, so you should be okay, Gary. You've got plenty of support there, guys. I know, and Neil's got another engagement now at 8. He's recording one of his shows, so I'll thank you for your time tonight, and we'll chat on the WhatsApp group and on Twitter. And what I suggest is you go in about an hour and a half time and rally the troops and get them going. Certainly, I'm very surprised to see Molinari and Fleetwood battling. That talking to you doesn't seem to have done the trick. Thanks, Barney. Thanks, Barney. Shut Neil. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
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 Shot Bond.